Good evening, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Saturday, August 8, 2015, around 8:10 in the evening in Belleville, Massachusetts. Sun's going down. It was a great day out. It was low humidity and stuff, and don't get too much low humidity days in the dog days of August. Some news to report: the Lowell Spinners beat the Connecticut Tigers by the score of 3-2. And that's about it on news. One little tidbit before I do my third and final video blog subject of the night. One more week into the first ever Ask Rich Q&A video blog. So Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, send me in questions, because I definitely need these questions soon, because it's going to be a good video blog. And that's about it on that. My third and final video blog subject of the night is my personality profile. Tonight's personality profile is about the late, great former NWA World Champion, Giant Baba. He was a legend in Japan. He formed All Japan Wrestling. He was a promoter and wrestler for over 30 years. His real name was Shobi Baba, and he grew up in Japan. He loved to play baseball as a youngster because baseball's big in Japan, so is pro wrestling. He actually played in the Japanese league for the Yomiuri Giants for about a year as a pitcher. He was only 0-1. He spent some time in the minor leagues, but an arm injury curtailed his career in Japanese baseball, and the next thing he wanted to do is go into the world of professional wrestling because he was 6'9", and he was trained by Rinzat, a Japanese legend, and Fred Atkinson, and the great Toko, and he made his debut in Japanese Wrestling Association in 1960. He had several different nicknames, including Babyface Baba, and his real name Shobi Baba, but he was known more as Giant Baba, and he wrestled as a face and a heel. He was a very good wrestler for a big man, 6'9". He held many titles in Japanese Wrestling Association. He formed an awesome tag team with Jumbo Tsuruta, and they were Japanese Tag Team Champions 4 times, also NWA International Champion 4 times. In the early 60s, Giant Baba came to the United States. He wrestled Nature Boy Buddy Rogers for the NWA World Title in a few places, but he was unsuccessful. And then he wrestled Bruno Sammartino a couple of times in the WWF at Madison Square Garden, and Bruno had such admiration of Giant Baba that they became friends. And when Bruno Sammartino wrestled in Japan in the 1970s, he went to All Japan Wrestling instead of New Japan Wrestling, which was associated with WWF at the time. They had a working relationship, New Japan Wrestling and WWF, but Bruno went to work for Giant Baba's All Japan Wrestling because Bruno respected him. In fact, Bruno sent a car over for Giant Baba because he couldn't a custom-made Cadillac because they didn't have any in Japan because of his size and stuff, and it cost Bruno $3,000 to ship that from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to Japan. That's relatively peanuts compared to what it would cost us these days. If you ship something overseas, it'd probably be in close to $100,000, and Baba repaid him reimbursed him on the next trip, and that's what he said. And also Bruno said something about Giant Baba, if All Japan Wrestling went broke and stuff, he would wrestle over there for free and try to rebuild it and stuff, because Giant Baba was so respected. Giant Baba was wrestled in some other regional territories in the United States, Detroit, St. Louis, and a few others. He held some regional titles there, but mainly he focused wrestling in Japan and stuff. When Japan Wrestling Association went out of business in 1972, Giant Baba formed All Japan Wrestling, and many of the great Japanese stars wrestled for them, including Tenryu and the great Kabuki and Jumbo Torudos, his tag team partner, and many others. And he also had many wrestlers in the United States come over to wrestle for him, including Stan Hansen and Terry and Dory Funk Jr., Harley Race, Nature Boy Ric Flair, and so many others. All Japan Wrestling got membership to the NWA, and Giant Baba's got his wish to become champion of the NWA. He had 3 brief reigns as NWA World Champion. He beat Jack Briscoe in 1974, and he had a couple of title reigns with beating Harley Race in 1980. He actually wrestled Ric Flair a couple of times for the NWA World title in 1982, but he was unsuccessful to wrest the title from that. And All Japan Wrestling made millions and millions of dollars for Giant Baba and stuff, and a lot of the wrestlers says he was an honest promoter, one of the most honest promoters in pro wrestling history. He agreed on handshake agreements, no contracts and stuff, and he would always pay the wrestlers pretty good and stuff like that. And Baba made millions and millions and millions of dollars from All Japan Wrestling. He invested it in the Japanese real estate market, which made him a millionaire more and more often. They say Giant Baba was the second wealthiest man ever in professional wrestling history, behind Vince McMahon. Giant Baba's favorite moves were like running neck breaker and a big boot to the face and stuff. And up to the early 80s, Giant Baba was like a very serious wrestler and stuff like that. But around 1984, 1985, due to his age, Giant Baba was phasing himself out as a main event for All Japan Wrestling. He focused mainly stuff backstage and stuff, and he would wrestle sometimes in comedy matches and stuff like that. He actually formed a tag team with Andre the Giant in All Japan Wrestling in 1990 and 1991. Actually, Giant Baba and WWE, All Japan and WWE had a joint card in April of 1990. The main event was Hulk Hogan against Stan Hansen, and Giant Baba and Andre the Giant wrestled Demolition in that card as well. There was a rumor of working relationship that was going to allow Giant Baba to come to the WWE and feud with Andre the Giant, but that never came to pass and stuff, because heard some backstage Baba and Vince McMahon disagreed on stuff because he didn't really like the cartoonish ways of the WWE at the time and stuff. But like, Baba continued to wrestle in comedy matches for several more years and stuff. All Japan was still making pretty good things. They did not have any of the major promotions and wrestlers there anymore, WWE or WCW, because WCW went into a working relationship with New Japan, and WWE just stopped sending wrestlers over to Japan. They briefly had a working relationship with Super World Sports, but that didn't last too long. And Baba, like in the late 90s, was feeling a little sick and stuff, and he checked himself into a hospital, and it was discovered he had cancer, and he had surgery for cancer and to remove it. And in Japan, cancer is not talked about, period, because that's culturally, they do not talk about anybody having cancer in Japan. It's a no-no and stuff. And in early 1999, like January, Giant Baba was like seen watching a wrestling match from his hospital. They said he was getting better. That put smiles on his face. A few days later, he went in for more cancer surgery and then passed away at the age of 61. And to this day, Giant Baba is really respected by all of the wrestlers in Japan, in the United States, as the honest promoter and stuff. He would pay you what you were getting and stuff, handshake agreements and stuff, no contracts with him. They even said Stan Hansen, who wrestled for Giant Baba for years and years, said that most of his career he would wrestle in Japan because he trusted Baba the most, and also other wrestlers like the late Bruiser Brody wrestled for Baba's group a lot. All Japan, Terry and Dory Funk Jr., Ric Flair, Harley Race, Jack Briscoe, all the NWA stars would wrestle for him. And it's too bad that the WWE has never recognized Giant Baba in the Hall of Fame. WWE Hall of Fame. He probably will not get inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame, which is a shame in my opinion. That's about it on Giant Baba. And that's about it. And be back tomorrow with 3 more video blogs, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. First video blog is what happened 27 years ago tomorrow, when Wayne Gretzky was traded from the Edmonton Oilers to Los Angeles Kings. Tell you about that story. Second video blog will be about MBTA bus route 90 from Davis Square in Somerville to Wellington Station. And the third and final video blog of the night will be the personality profile. Tomorrow's personality profile will be about Tommy Wildfire Rich, former NWA World Champion. This is the last of personality profiles. What I've been doing the past week or so about former NWA World Champions. Tommy Wildfire Rich is the icon of Georgia Championship Wrestling. And coming Monday is going to be the weekly thing with fantasy booking. I'm going to fantasy book a card. Rebook a card. This week's I'm going to rebook WrestleMania 8 from the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis, Indiana. It will be, the main event would be what it was originally going to be, Nature Boy Ric Flair facing off against Hulk Hogan. Tell you, and the rest of the card, you'll be interested to see this one, hear about this one. And one more thing, there'll be no fantasy bookings about adding regular people anymore because those days are long gone. So if you're expecting pillow fights between Julie Broughton and Heidi Lee Pratt, we're not talking about that. And also Monday, I'm going to do a personality profile on Bruins center and assistant captain Patrice Bergeron. Have a good night, everybody. And Molly Rosenblatt, Fox 35 rocks and has nice legs. And the words of Sean Lucha, get out. Bye now.